Okay, so if you're watching this video, you are ready to step division up a notch. Couple things we're going to talk about in this video. One, I am going to be requiring you to set yourself up for success. That means get our multiplication brain going and throw multiplication man onto the problem. I am going to require something called digit box, and you're going to see when we move into division with decimals just how valuable that is. Rule number 2, exaggerate. Write big, space things out, especially now that we're moving up to this new level of division. It's going to be key. Now this one won't make any sense till I show you, but start with 5 at the side and don't erase your work as you go. Okay, so here we go. First things first, division is different than all the other operations. When we go to solve a problem, we don't actually use that division symbol anymore. We set it up with this house division symbol. Now I'm going to start by writing the 723 inside the house. I'm spacing it out. I'm exaggerating, giving myself some room. And we're going to divide that by 34. So that's going to be our setup. But what we need to do now, guys, is we need to set ourselves up for success. 2 things we need to do. 1, I want to see multiplication man there. It helps to remind your brain we got to use multiplication to help us with this division. The other thing we're going to do is the answer to a division problem is at the roof. We're going to make a template for where the answer is going to go. Above each digit in the problem, we're going to have a digit in the answer. I call that digit box. Digit, put a box above it. Digit, put a box above it. Digit, put a box above it. And then we want to create a part in our template for where the remainder is going to go. So again, I call this digit box, digit box, digit box, remainder box. Okay? All right, last thing, and that was called start with 5 at the side and don't erase your work as you go. The only difference between 1-digit and 2-digit division is we don't know our 34's times tables. So we're going to have to do some side problems over here. I want you to start with the number 5. Before you even start the problem, I want you to set up, in this case, 34 times 5. 5 is the middle digit. Each of these boxes can only be a single digit. The highest it can go is 9. The lowest it can go is 0. If you're trying to put 10 in there, it means you made a mistake somewhere because you can't put 2 cars in one parking spot. Put a 5 off to the side just to see what that would hit as a target. So 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2. 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. Okay. Don't erase this as you go. We're going to keep doing different problems and do the ones above 5 or below 5 up here, the ones above 5 over here, and you're going to see how helpful this is. Okay, my first target is 7. Well, 34 times what gets me closest to 7? What's interesting is that 34 times 1, which is the smallest you can go before 0, is already way too high. It's 34. 7 is just a single digit lower number. So the best I'm going to get here is a 0. That landed at 0, and I'm 7 away, because 7 minus 0 is 7, or 7 plus 0 is 7, however you want to think about it. Now this 7 is my leftover. My remainder goes way down here, but you can see in my template I'm not done with the problem yet. So my remainder is actually going to get thrown up here to become part of my next target. So now I have a target of 72. I already know from my work here 5 is way too high, way past my target. And 1 is it looks low. Let me see if I can get closer. 34 times 2. Well, that's going to be 8, and 2 times 3 is 6. So that gets me 68. Definitely closer, but I'm just wondering if I can get any higher. Never be afraid that you're wasting time, because you may use this later on. 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Okay, 3 definitely goes too high. So it looks like for this particular target, 34 times 2 is going to be the best bet, and it already have the math over here. It would land at 68. Now this is where we want to do the difference between our target and where we landed. Difference means subtraction. You can always count up if they're this close, but subtraction really is the best bet when we're moving into 2-digit. You just have to remember you cannot basal ganglia. I cannot do 2 minus 8. So I'm going to borrow, and this is why we needed to exaggerate. I have a whole subtraction problem living in my division problem. 12 minus 8 is 4, because 4 plus 8 is 12, and 6 minus 6 is 0. So this is my leftovers, but I'm not ready for that yet. So I'm just going to throw that up to become part of my next target. 0, 4 really just means 4. Now here's the cool part. Remember I told you, do not erase your work. That's because I've already done the math I need for this next part. I need to get as close to 43. I know that 2 is too high. So 1 looks like it's going to be my best answer. That gets me to 34, and now I need to figure out the difference between my target and where I landed. I cannot basal ganglia. Cannot do 3 minus 4, so I'm going to borrow. That 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 4 is 9, because 9 plus 4 is 13. 3 minus 3 is 0. And this now, again, is my leftover, and that's all that I have room for. So I have a remainder of 9. Don't forget, that remainder must always be less than 34. Okay? Since these are your leftovers along the way, these also have to be less than 34, or else you just didn't use a big enough number here in our answer. So our answer's right here in our answer template. It is 21 with a remainder of 9. Let's try another one. Okay, so, that was a really awful example of a division symbol. I didn't do that very well either, did I? All right, let's try that again. Okay, there we go. That was a little scary. Okay, so I have my new division symbol, so I can solve this. And I have 408. I am going to exaggerate, divided by 29. And I'm going to set myself up for success. Multiplication man, digit box, digit box, digit box, and a place for my remainder box. And I'm going to start by using 5 and just seeing where that gets me. 29 times 5. Okay. 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4. And 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. So that's kind of like my middle ground. I'll know now, do I need to guess something less or guess something greater? All right. My first target is 4. Well, I already know 29 times 1, which is a really small number there, is already too high. So the best I'm going to get here is 0, which lands me at 0, and I'm 4 away. So that's going to become part of my next target. And now I need to try and get as close to 40. I already have some work over here. I wonder if I can get any higher. So I'm going to try times 2. That's 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Looks like 2 is just too high for this particular target. So I'm going to go back to the 1, and that lands me at 29. And again, we want to make sure that we have enough room to be setting up a subtraction problem and lining up our place values. I can't do 0 minus 9. We don't want a basal ganglia, so I'm going to go ahead and borrow. That 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1, and 3 minus 2 is also 1. So this is my leftovers. I'm going to go ahead and throw that up to become part of my next target. This is where it starts to look crazy. It looks like that's an absurd and wrong target. However, remember, these are our leftovers. As long as these are less than 29, we're good to go. We're using a bigger arrow. We're going to have to be able to hit a bigger target. You can see, though, that based on the work I've already done that I didn't erase, 29 times 5 is already too high. And 29 times 2 looks way too low. So I'm going to try 29 times 4. And I'm just going to see where that gets me. And I'm going to try and be relatively organized here. 4 times 9 is 36. Carry the 3. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Holy moly, look at that. 116 is so close to 118, and it didn't go over. It looks like 29 times 4 is going to be the best bet. That lands us at 116. Again, we're creating a subtraction problem, so make sure you line things up. I'm now going to use subtraction to figure out the difference between my target and where I landed. 8 minus 6 I can do, that's 2. 2 plus 6 is 8. 1 minus 1 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So it looks like my leftover here is 2. And again, as long as my remainder is less than 29, I'm good to go. So you can see my template for my answer reveals an answer of 14 with a remainder of, 2. That should be a 2. There we go. All right, let's see if I have room for this next one. This is like my favorite kind of problem because it's kind of silly. So here's my division problem. I have 124. Again, I'm going to exaggerate, divided by 19. I'm a big fan of color coding, so I'm going to grab a different color to set myself up for success. Multiplication man and digit box, digit box, remainder box. Okay, I'm going to start, before I do anything, I'm going to do my 5, just to give me that middle ground. 5 times 9 is 45, and 5 times 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9. Okay, that's going to be very helpful for later. Let's go ahead and get started. 19 times what gets me closest to 1? Well, we've kind of figured out along the way that if I have 19 times 1, it's already a 2-digit number of 19. It's going to be 0. So that's going to land me at 0, and I'm 1 away. That's my leftover. I'm going to go ahead and throw it up here for a new target of 12. Because I still have the work here and I didn't erase it, I already know that 1, again, is too high. The only number that's going to work here is 0, which means I'm 0 away from my, or hit my target at 0, and I have a difference, I'm struggling with the 2's here, of 12. That should totally be a 2. There we go. Now, this is going to be thrown up to my next target. Okay. Take a look at this. Really big target. 1 is nowhere close, but take a look at 5. 5 gets us closer, but probably not close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try 6. 19 times 6. 9 times 6 is 54. Carry the 5. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 5 is 11. Ooh, 114 is closer. I have to make sure I can't get closer than that. So I'm going to try 7. That's 63. And then 7 times 1 is 7, plus 6 is 13. You can see that's too high. So it looks like the best I'm going to get is to use a 6. And what's lovely is I have already did the math. It lands at 114. I know that's hard to read with my terrible arrow, but that says 114. And now I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 4 is 0. 2 minus 1 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0, which means because the only space left in my template is here, I have a remainder of 10. And again, as long as it's less than 19, I'm fine. So my final answer is simply 6 with a remainder of 10. It's the same, guys. You just have a little bit more work off to the side because we don't know our 19's facts. We don't know our 34's facts. We just got to do a little bit of work. I know you can do this. It's so much fun. Good luck.